Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I'm Andrea Amador. I'm so excited that you're here. This is tapping into your secret source of power, the blessing of being betrayed. Oh my God. Has that ever happened to you? Have you gotten stabbed in the back by somebody you loved? Somebody promised you something and they didn't keep that promise, they broke that promise, broke your heart. I know personally that that can leave you reeling in pain and depression for years, and it can actually destroy your life. And the reason why I wanted to do this and to share this with you is because I've had such personal experience with um, being betrayed, expecting one thing and then getting another thing, and being so incredibly hurt and disappointed, and having so much faith and believe in somebody that they're going to keep their promise, and then getting totally shocked out of my shoes, realizing that they didn't. And the reason why I wanted to do this and to share this with you, it's taken me a lot of years to be here in this place, because coming from being raised in a very dysfunctional family, I learned early on to live with a lot of chaos and to expect people to be inconsistent and mean and disrespectful and all of that. And the reason why I say that is because the way that we're raised, the way that our parents and our caregivers relate to us, that actually determines the type of people who we will attract in our life, because it's what we expect, it's what we know. And everything is energy, and your thoughts are so powerful. The things that you believe to be true, you will actually make them true. So if you expect that somebody is going to betray you and hurt you, not keep their promise, stab you in the back, lie to you, do all sorts of things, cheat on you, screw around on you, everything like that, it's likely to happen. And what I want to tell you about that is, rather than being in the victim place and feeling sorry for yourself and saying, oh, poor me, this is terrible, this always happens to me, let's take that experience for you and turn it around. Let's look at that, instead of being as a burden and your cross to bear, let's look at that instead as a blessing. How can you do that? Well, I'll tell you, it's absolutely impossible to do that if you equate betrayal and people not keeping their promise as being proof that something is wrong with you. Because if you're walking around the world and you're expecting to find proof of something being wrong with you, you being an outcast, you're not good enough, all of these things, you will find it. Heads up, by the way, I was planning to bake banana bread with you, but I'm having some kitchen difficulties. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that to another day. I wanted to share with you the emotional freedom technique, and that is the stress relief method that will change your life. The reason why it's called EFT for short, and many people call it tapping. The reason why is because it reprograms our brain. It changes the way we think. So just imagine if that betrayal that you're grieving right now, that pain in your heart from being hurt by someone you love, someone you trusted, imagine if you were able to look at that differently. Okay? I belong to a widow group. After my husband passed away, wow, it put so much of my life in perspective, but I never in a million years expected to be a widow at 59 years old and to be in a position of starting over. And I learned that I had to make a lot of changes in my life. And one of the changes that I made is that I had to come to the realization that I had a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of negative beliefs. And I developed them as a result of going through a very traumatic and dysfunctional childhood, being raised by my mother and my stepfather, who turned out to be a monster. And as a result of thinking all of these negative things, it played out in my relationship with my husband. And it was very, very difficult for me. And 3 days after he passed away, I found something that really broke my heart. And it hurt me so much. And for a long time, I wasn't able to function. I was so deep in depression. And what I needed to be able to turn around was to change the way that I was thinking. Because I thought that the thing that I had found was proof that he never loved me, that everything was that a lot, a lot of painful things. And what I realized is that you can't judge one action based on a whole entire relationship. So, for example, I wrote this article a while ago. It's called Toxic Family Relationships, Rejected and Betrayed, How to Move Past the Heartbreak. And the first thing that I learned, as I said, I had gone through being betrayed and lied to in many, many relationships. And my personal experience of going through that numerous times was that in every instance, I realized after a period of time of feeling like a victim and feeling horrible and being angry and all of that, I realized that whatever the person did or didn't do is exactly what they needed to do for themselves. That it didn't have anything to do with me. And so let me put this another way. If you're facing a betrayal right now, let's just say that you found out that your husband or boyfriend has been cheating on you. Oh, hold on. instead of you looking at that as proof that this actually means that something is wrong with you, that he did this because of a flaw or a fault of your own. You know, I recently saw a video, one of the talk shows, I think it was Dr. Phil, where a woman, a husband and wife came on, and the man told the woman that he cheated on her because she let herself go. She got too fat and she didn't take care of herself and all of that. And Dr. Phil and the audience was shocked, as they should be, because what this man was doing was he was taking no responsibility whatsoever. He was not being accountable for his actions. He was just saying, well, I did this because you got fat. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way. If somebody betrays you and does something to hurt you, what it really means when you break it down is that they shattered your expectations of how things were supposed to be, how things were assumed to be. Let me give you an example. Let's just say, in the case of your husband cheating on you, that you had these feelings like something was wrong. You know, he wasn't as sweet with you, he wasn't as talkative, he didn't share, he didn't share intimate moments with you, all these types of things that were just telling you, something's not right, and you ignored it. By ignoring it, you're closing the door of the opportunity to say something. And this is a tremendous mistake that I made, that I'm going to urge you to do differently. Because despite the fact that I was happy for so many years in my relationship with my husband, when he became ill, he started to change and he became different, more distant. And both of us would retreat in opposite ends of the house and not speak a lot to one another. It was just tense. And it was also really tense because of the circumstances. COVID hit and I lost work. And when I lost work, we weren't able to pay rent. And it was just a real difficult time. And I felt that something was different. And I thought, well, if I don't say anything, then maybe it'll just go away. It'll be fine. And I kept on making the choice. No, I'll stay silent. I'm not going to say anything because it's too uncomfortable to open up the subject. And I didn't. I kept quiet the whole time. And I deeply, deeply regret that. Because what I realized is by being quiet, I denied myself a happier, more fulfilled marriage. Or possibly something else would happen where my husband and I would make a mutual decision. No, it's not going to work out. No, I love you, but we're not good together. We're not good living together. And in thinking about that in retrospect, I realized that would not have been so bad. So if you're out there and you're listening to the replay, and you are experiencing something similar where you've either been betrayed and found out something that shattered your expectations and hurt you, you can either share that information with them, confront them, or if it's earlier and you're seeing signs or you're feeling something that just isn't right, then I would urge you to take the risk and to look at the opportunity and say, you know what? I'm going to tough it out. I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to say what's on my mind. So what I am going to teach you is the emotional freedom technique. And EFT, for short, is amazing. Because what it does is it gives you the ability to rewire your thinking, reprogram your thinking so that you see things differently. So back in 2017, I had the opportunity to be a social media manager for a pair of marriage therapists, Lori and Bob Hollander of Relationships Work. And at the time, what Lori and Bob were doing was they were answering viewers' questions, and they would create a video each week of their clients' questions, one question each week. It was called Ask Lori and Bob. And I was in charge of doing the editing and the promotion for that. And at the time, since they were, always looking for questions, I asked Lori, I said, Lori, could you do me a favor and answer, you and Bob, could you guys answer a question for me? And they said, oh, sure, Andrea, whatever you need. And one of the questions that I asked them is, why does my husband always have to be right? Why does he get so defensive if I say something or if I challenge what it is that he's saying? And they explained that that comes from insecurity, that comes from his insecurity, and that he identifies, as so many men do, he identifies with being right. I'm the man. I know the way things are. And through Lori and Bob answering several questions for me, actually, I got a chance to see my husband from a different perspective. When we were going through that very, very difficult financial time, my husband's usual calm, sweet, lovable way of being turned into grouchy, angry, irritable, frustrated. And I didn't know what to do with that different energy at the time, because it reminded me of the very frightening and threatening atmosphere that I grew up in. And it just automatically, for me, it was just like bing, 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 danger, danger, danger. And so when I shared that with Lori and Bob, and I said, why is my husband like upset? Why does he have to be right? Why is he getting so grouchy? What's going on with him? And they both said that the role of the male is to be the protector, the one that, takes care of the family. And that means not showing any vulnerability, because showing vulnerability to men is weak. And at the time, I was also going through a lot with my mother. She was ill. And my husband was getting increasingly frustrated. I was going to go on a trip to Florida to take care of my mother. And he was upset. And so what I learned from Lori and Bob is that when men are upset and they challenge you, I'm not saying in all cases, but they challenge you, what it really means is that they feel powerless. They want to be heard. And it helped me to see my husband from a different perspective, from a different point of view. So instead of always assuming that his more irritated behavior meant that he didn't love me and that he didn't care what happened to my mother or any of these things, it was actually the opposite, that he wanted to help. He had no idea how to help. He felt like he had no control over, what I was thinking or doing. And he felt like, what are you doing? So I wanted you to know that there's more than one way of seeing a situation. And during that time that I was managing Lori and Bob's social media, one of the experts, she's very well known. Her name is Esther Perel, ESTHERPEREL. And I think she wrote a book called The State of Affairs and something else, 2 other books, but she's extremely well known. And what she and Lori and Bob had in common is that they helped people they helped marriages, people who were in marriages that had affairs. They helped them to either get together or make a decision to separate. And it was very, it was very eye-opening for me to be learning these new concepts from Lori and Bob and Esther Perel and all of the other couples relationships, community experts that I was learning from. That the old way that I had thought of men and relationships was not necessarily true. So, what I learned can help you, because I'm pretty sure that just like me, you may also have very, very traditional ideas about what it means to be betrayed, And let's go back to that right now again. Being betrayed. It really has to do with the individual, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. What it means is that your expectations were shattered of the person, of the relationship. And one of the things that Esther Perel and Lori and Bob agreed on is that if you're looking at a relationship and deciding if you're going to stay or if you're going to go, one of the things that you want to consider is that this betrayal, let's say, that is an incident that happened, but judge that against the character of the person who did it. Have they been there for you? Have they helped you during times when you needed help? Have they supported you? Have they, are they a parent or a co-parent? Are they a good father or a good mother? Are they good and loyal to their friends? What kind of person is this? Is this just a horrible person who continually betrays you over and over and over again? Or is this a person who you've loved for a long time and you've seen evidence of them loving you too? And you recognize, no, you know what? Maybe this is possible to save this relationship. What the emotional freedom technique can do for you in this instance, because it rewires your thinking and reprograms your brain, is it leaves you open to new ways of thinking. It leaves you to be more receptive to something that is between the black and the white. You know, there's lots and lots of colors. There's a whole spectrum of colors between black and white. And it leads you to recognize, well, wait a minute. Yes, this happened and I'm hurt by it. But what is next? What does this mean? It's up to you now to start to redefine this relationship if you have the opportunity to do that. But what you must do is you must start to communicate, the both of you. Because the same way that I say that what the betrayal actually did was it shattered your expectations, whether they were agreed upon by both of you or not. Maybe you just both assumed it was going to go on the way it was and that you accepted situations that you really didn't want to. Then it's time for you to be more honest with yourself and to look for and to voice your opinion of what you want. And to go the next step and to say and to be clear, to clarify what would be the consequence of things if they didn't work out. So in other words, what I'm saying is that I want to invite you to use the emotional freedom technique, the tapping that I'm going to teach you, so that you can expand your thinking beyond the black or the white thinking that you may be so used to. That there is a whole community, there's a whole branch of psychology in couples relationships. Not only that, but let's just move away from couples relationships. Let's talk about relationships with your parents or with your siblings. It's the same thing, that if we don't have communication, if we don't talk to people and if they don't talk to us and share what they're thinking and what they're feeling, then there's never going to be a meeting of the minds. It's really important to recognize that a relationship takes two people, not one. One person can't be doing all the work for both. So, with the tapping, the next time I do this, I look forward to having a volunteer. But with the tapping, I'm going to walk you through it. This is the first point. This is called the karate chop point. I'm just going to walk you through the points. And you tap lightly, kind of like the same way you would drum on a desk. Like that, right? Just tapping. And you could tap on the left or the right, whichever your preference. Okay. The next is the inner corner of the eye, and that's where your eyebrows meet the bridge of your nose. And you just tap lightly. And as you do that, just hold in mind what it is that you feel about this person and what they did. Okay. The next point is the side of the eye, and that's where your eyebrow ends. And again, you could just use one hand or two hands. Next is under the eye. Again, holding in mind what that person who hurt you did. Next is under the nose, and that's actually on the top of your lip. Again, holding in mind what the other person did. Next is the chin point. And just let your thoughts just roll over you. Now here, this is where this is called the collarbone. And I want you to just take a deep breath and let it out. The next point is under your arms, about midway, about halfway up your bra strap. Now, you could do it a couple of ways. You could do like the monkey way, right? Or you could lift your arm and just tap right about here. And if you want to switch, you can do that too. And you could tap about 7 times or so. The next is the top of the head. And at the top of the head, that's the crown point. There is an intersection of many, many different acupressure points, because that's actually what it is that we're tapping on. We're tapping on, hi there, we're tapping on acupressure points, acupressure endpoints. And what they do when they're stimulated is they release muscle relaxants in the body so that you feel more relaxed. It's kind of like, hi there, welcome. Do you have any questions? Would you like to share something? Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm just going over the different tapping points. So if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat to post a comment or any question. So now that you have an idea, and if you are catching the replay, the tapping points that I used, those are the most common ones. There are others, but those are the most common. And when I do my classes, my weekly classes, and I teach women how to use the emotional freedom technique around their particular issues, we go much, much deeper into this. And you've probably noticed that I didn't say anything as I was doing this. I was just walking you through and teaching you the different points that you tap on. Now I'll share with you what it is that I do that has helped me so much. Many people do it very differently. So I do what is called tap and bitch. And what I do, there's a couple of different ways. When I am so overwhelmed and I don't have words to describe how it is that I feel, the first thing I'll do is I will hold this part of me and I'll rock back and forth gently. When you do that, you're activating release points in your body and you're creating a sense of safety for yourself. And just tapping any of the endpoints, but particularly this one, the sore spot, or the karate chop point, okay? Both of those are particularly effective in being able to create a release of the energy that's pent up. So let's look at this again. When you've been hurt, when you've been disappointed or lied to, or seemingly stabbed in the back by someone you love, there's a whole bunch of feelings that go along with that. You may feel sad. You may feel angry. You may feel hurt. You may feel disappointed. You may feel confused. You may feel depressed. You may feel powerless. You may feel afraid. all of those feelings are swirling around in your body. And by using the emotional freedom technique and tapping and just saying whatever is on your mind, I don't know if you've ever had this, but where somebody has told you, you shouldn't be feeling that way. You shouldn't say that. If anybody has censored you and told you that whatever it is that is on your mind, you should not be talking about that, well, in this case, you absolutely should. You need to vent that stuff and do it in the right way. Earlier this afternoon, I was popping into one of the widows groups, and several of the women were saying that they're doing a lot of crying. And I said, crying is great, but it's limited in terms of its abilities, of what it can do for you, in terms of giving you that sense of release that you need when you're hurting. It takes a long time to just cry and cry and cry and grieve and get the resolution. Because sometimes you just may never get the resolution, as in the case of a relationship where you love them and you hate them at the same time, or you hate what they did, but you love them. It's really difficult to get resolution just by crying. It's kind of like, I want you to think about this. It's kind of like sweeping the floor or sweeping the whole house. Okay. And then what you've done is you've accumulated all of the dirt in the center of the room, but you're not picking it up. You're just walking past it, and all the dirt is redistributing all over the room. What the tapping, the emotional freedom technique, does is it sweeps all around the room, goes into the corners, goes everywhere, and then you collect it all as though you were putting it into a dustbin or a dustpan, and then you throw it away. You change the room from being a mess and confusion and untidy and all of that, and you have more order. So in this case, it's not physical order, but you're putting your life into emotional order. So to follow what it is that I do with the tapping, what has always worked for me with the tapping, is to say exactly what is on my mind. And I was taught this technique by one of my coaches. Her name is CJ Powatanen. And she said it was called Tap and Bitch. And I love it so much. And I also want you to think about that when you're doing this, when you're starting to initiate tapping on any of these points, what you are doing is you're creating a mind-body connection, because your mind and your body are connected. They're like two sides of the same coin. Your mind affects your body affects your mind. Here's an example. Okay, so let's just say that you're really frustrated because you've been gaining weight and you're upset, and you've been trying to diet and you're frustrated with your body and all of that. And it's really hard trying to stay on a diet. So one day you put on a skirt and you look at yourself in the mirror and you just feel so big and so fat and so bloated. And you look at yourself and you judge yourself and say, I can't stand my body. I hate myself. If you're somebody who has found comfort in emotional eating, and you consider yourself to be an emotional eater, what will likely happen is that your brain will trigger you to seek out the comfort of food. So you'll get an image in your mind of whatever it is that you love to eat. Let's say you have some chocolate cake in the refrigerator or something like that, and you have an image of chocolate cake, and you go, oh, I have to go to the kitchen now. I've got to eat. I've got to eat. And so you go eat, which is your mind affecting your body. Oh, I'm sorry, that's your body affecting your mind. So you saw yourself in the mirror, you said, I'm so fat, I can't stand myself, right? It was that feeling of tightness of looking at yourself in the mirror and feeling the tightness of the skirt that made you think, I hate my body, I'm a horrible person, I've got to get something to eat and feel better, calm myself down. Okay, here's another. Here's your thoughts affecting your body. So let's say, again, you're in that position where, you're trying to watch your weight and you're trying not to eat foods that are fattening, and somebody comes by with a huge platter of donuts, all of your favorites, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I love donuts. I want donuts. Oh, do I want a jelly donut? Do I want a Boston cream donut? Oh, maybe a cruller or maybe a coconut glazed donut. Okay, all of that. So all of a sudden, you go from not even thinking about food to now all of a sudden needing to eat. But what's happening is seeing those donuts has started a chemical reaction in your body that has begun the secretion of the salivary glands. The digestive juices in your stomach are saying, okay, we're ready to eat. Oh, yeah, we're going to eat now. And yet your body is not actually eating. It's just that your mind, that desire for the donuts, automatically activated your salivary glands, and you're going, ooh, yes, let's eat. Okay, so the tapping. So again, what you want to do is you want to say the things that you don't think that you should say. You want to say, you want to do all the blaming, you want to be angry, you want to curse. I always urge my clients, like if they feel comfortable cursing, then go ahead and curse in my private sessions, and they just throw a stream of cursing. And the reason why I recommend that is because it feels so good. It's such a tremendous emotional release to be able to say what's on your mind, that at the same time you're activating these calming chemicals in your body that is slowing down your ability to think. Because when we're under stress, when we're under pressure, we cannot think straight. And what the tapping gives you the ability to do is it calms your mind so that you can see things more clearly. You can think more clearly. You can be logical again. So here, let's just do this. Let's think about this. Okay. Many times too, what I do is I will tap on myself and talk to the person with whom I'm having the challenge or the argument, or I'm angry at them, or I hate them, whatever the case may be. So in the case where, let's say you have a boyfriend or husband who cheated on you, You want to work that through in your mind. I hate what you did to me. I hate what you did to me. You broke my heart. How could you do that to me? How could you do that to me? Didn't you realize that that would kill me? I hate you. I hate you. I hate what you did. I hate what you did. You broke my heart. You broke my trust. You broke my trust. You hurt me. How could you do that to me? You're a bastard. And go on from there. How could you do that to me? And so what you do is you repeat it. And the more that you do that, these are called rounds. Let me show you what a round is. Okay. Tapping first on the karate chop point, then on the inner corner of the eye, the outer corner of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, on the chin point, the collarbone, and the top of head. And that is considered one round. And with tapping, it's recommended that what you do is you go through several rounds, really saying what's on your mind. And what will happen is because the tapping activates those that part of your brain, which is called the amygdala, it deactivates its tendency to send off warning bells to say, I'm not safe, I'm not safe, to make you think that you're going to die without this person, or whatever it is that happened is the worst thing in the world. You will see it from a different perspective. Now, I'm not promising to say it's going to happen instantly, that it's going to happen immediately. No. What you have to do is you have to keep on working on it. And as I said, if that relationship can be repaired, then go and risk starting a conversation and talking about this. Don't make my mistake and stay silent. Okay? So I am going to be doing these grief relief support live streams through the holidays. And if you're here and you've joined on the replay, make sure that you sign up to get notice of the invitations that you will receive before the next live stream. And as well, what you can do is you can share a question or anything that you have on my Facebook page. And that is facebook.com/The Juicy Woman. Okay, so it has been absolutely great teaching you this. And I really hope that this gives you the freedom that it has given me, because I have found ever since I first learned emotional freedom technique, when, oh my gosh, in 2004, I was having a panic attack, and a colleague of mine was an emotional freedom technique practitioner. And it was because she was a tapper, an emotional freedom technique practitioner, that she was able to stop my panic attack in a few minutes. And that experience in my life led me to be here with you. I knew that I had to share this with other women because of the power of it. The power of choice that you have at your fingertips is extraordinary. So come to the next live stream, sign up, register, and I look forward to seeing you. And we'll chat next time. Have a great, great day. Bye now.